What's going on, everybody, and welcome to my review of Snow White, released in 2025 and directed by Webb. I'm just going to say it, this movie is terrible. I don't even want to sugarcoat it or try to ease into it. I went into it hoping maybe, there'd at least be something to latch onto. Some ounce of charm. Some moment where I'd think, okay, that actually worked. But no, this isn't one of those remakes where you can at least see some glimmers of passion or a few redeeming qualities sprinkled here or there. No, from the very second it begins, it becomes glaringly obvious that this film has absolutely no respect, no real understanding, and no appreciation for what made the 1937 original such an iconic and timeless classic. Everything that was beautiful and magical about that film, the heart, the charm, the innocence, the craft, is completely stripped away, leaving behind something that just feels cold, soulless, and utterly artificial. The story, for what it's worth, is a modern reimagining of the classic tale. Snow White, played by Rachel Zegler, is forced to flee after her stepmother, the evil queen played by Gal Gadot, who orders her death. In the forest, she befriends a group of poorly animated CGI dwarfs and teams up with a brand new character named Jonathan, played by Andrew Burnap. Together, they try to overthrow the queen and reclaim the kingdom. That's the basic structure here, but sadly, none of it ever lands. The emotional beats fall flat, the writing is weak, and the pacing drags to the point where I was checking my watch multiple times just waiting for this thing to end. So, starting off with the negatives, because, yes, I don't have a single positive to offer. From the moment the opening scene rolls, the tone already feels off. You can instantly feel the studio's desperate attempt to modernize every single aspect of the story. And I'm not against modernization when it's done well. But here, in doing so, they completely lose any sense of whimsy, sincerity, or timeless fairy tale magic that defined the original. The 1937 film had that beautiful, hand-drawn animation that felt like you were stepping into a living storybook. It had soul. It had craftsmanship. It felt handcrafted in every single frame. But here, it's all replaced with this overbearing flood of CGI that's honestly hard to even look at sometimes. It doesn't feel immersive. It doesn't feel enchanting. It honestly feels like you're watching a glorified cutscene from a bad mobile game. The environments are flat, the lighting feels artificial, and everything has this strange glossy, plastic-like texture that completely kills any sense of atmosphere or wonder. And then there's the dwarfs. Oh man, the dwarfs in the original were iconic, each with distinct personalities, quirks, and heart. They were memorable. You cared about them. Here, they've been transformed into these bizarre, hyper-stylized CGI abominations that feel like half-finished assets from a tech demo nobody wanted to release. They don't feel real. They don't feel like characters. They feel like floating placeholders that someone forgot to properly animate. And the worst part is that you can feel that no one involved in this redesign process actually understood what made the dwarfs so charming to begin with. This isn't a creative reinterpretation, it's just bad character design. Unfortunately, the acting doesn't do much to save the movie either. Rachel Zegler's portrayal of Snow White just completely fell flat for me. She doesn't bring any of the sweetness or genuine innocence that defines the character. Instead, she comes across stiff, distant, and just plain unlikable at times. There's no warmth to her performance. You never feel like you're rooting for her or emotionally connecting to her journey. And that's a huge problem, because Snow White is supposed to be the beating heart of this story, the embodiment of kindness, purity, and goodness. Here, she's just another generic modern protagonist with forced empowerment dialogue that feels more like a checklist than actual character development. Then we have Gal Gadot as the evil queen. And I'll give her this, I can tell she was at least trying to have some fun with it. But the problem is that her performance is so over the top and campy that it completely clashes with the rest of the movie. Instead of being intimidating or delightfully menacing like the original evil queen, she just comes off as cringy and cartoonish in the worst way possible. Every scene she's in pulled me right out of the movie. It felt like she was acting in a parody version rather than an actual adaptation. And let's not forget Andrew Burnap as Jonathan, the completely unnecessary new character that serves absolutely no purpose. He feels like one of those baffling studio notes where someone said, "We need a new male character to modernize the story." but then forgot to give him anything meaningful to do. He doesn't add to Snow White's arc, he doesn't contribute to the plot in any significant way, and he has zero chemistry with anyone. He's just there. It's one of those baffling additions where you sit there and wonder why anyone thought this was a good idea. Now let's talk about the music, because this was another massive letdown. The new songs written for this version are flat out atrocious. Awkward lyrics, bland melodies, and just zero sense of emotional resonance. Every single musical number felt awkward and misplaced, like they were shoehorned in at the last minute. None of these songs even come close to capturing the magic, memorability, or timeless quality of the original's music. Even when they do try to reference or rework some of the classic songs, it comes off as forced and honestly kind of disrespectful. It's as if they wanted to distance themselves from the original as much as possible, but without any clear creative direction for what to replace it with. And honestly, at this point, I'm genuinely struggling to find even a single thing I liked about this movie. There's just nothing here. It's not only a bad remake, it's an utterly pointless one. It feels like a product made solely to check another title off Disney's live-action remake list, not because anyone involved actually cared about making a good movie. And that's probably the most frustrating part of all. The original Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs wasn't just any film, it was a groundbreaking achievement. It was the first full-length animated feature, a true labor of love that changed cinema forever. This remake spits on that legacy in every conceivable way. So yeah, this was an absolute chore to sit through. I regret giving it my time. There's no heart, charm, magic, just a hollow, lifeless corporate product pretending to be something meaningful. I can't in good conscience recommend this to anyone, whether you're a fan of the original or not. It's a completely useless remake that offers absolutely nothing of value. I sincerely hope Disney finally takes a long, hard look at where these live-action remakes are going, because if this is the future, they are actively destroying the legacy of their own classics. So overall, I absolutely hated this movie. It's a completely lifeless and pointless remake that does nothing but tarnish the legacy of a classic. It never should have been made. I'm giving Snow White a 0 out of 10. So, what do you guys think of this movie? Do you love it, think it's just okay, or maybe even dislike it? I'd love to hear your thoughts, so feel free to comment below. Please like, subscribe, and share this video. I really appreciate your support. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.